I've been very angry lately. Who do you think you are to sway my opinions? Who do you think you are to attempt to sway my opinions? I don't understand these people. They think they can come up to me and they can tell me how it is. They can tell me that I'm wrong because they're older, because they've lived some different life, some longer life with more experiences. Sure, you might have lived through more experiences, but you have not lived through the same experiences. And yes, you might be older and you might have wisdom, but nonetheless, you might be blind to many, many different things in this world. And I've been deeply enraged, deeply hate-filled by all these different people I see online and in real life who say that I'm wrong when I say that humanity is a scourge or a scourge. Humanity is a blight, is a repugnant disease. You know, whenever I go into detail about these different things, when I talk about the Holocaust and I talk about all the murder and the rape and the constant wars, and I go over the statistics, they want to tell me that they've had a good life and that these things are rare, they're not too often, but they're missing the point. They're missing the point. The fact that something bad hasn't happened to them doesn't mean that it doesn't happen often. I could take them to some suburban hood. I could take them to some violent area where all there is rape and murder and drugs and guns and violence. I could take them somewhere like that, and maybe that would sway their opinions. Maybe I could show them some horrible, brutal, murders on some gore website. Maybe that will sway their opinion. I could show them something like that, or something much worse, in person, in real life, and maybe that would sway their opinion. But the arrogance, the pridefulness, the blindness, the unwillingness to see things for how they truly are, fills me with the deepest hatred for humanity, and it only fuels my hatred and desire to annihilate the human race. It only fuels that much more, and that's why I think perhaps I'm the Antichrist. That's yet to be determined. But I cannot stand it. I cannot stand these old people around me telling me life is good, it will get better. Yeah, maybe it will, and then maybe it'll get far worse. Maybe it'll get better for me and stay that way for the rest of my life, but maybe tens of millions, hundreds of millions of others living in extreme poverty and living with starvation, living in oppressed countries like let's say China or North Korea or certain African, South American countries. Yeah, they're not going to have it better. Their children aren't going to have it better. They're going to probably have 4 or 5 children throughout their lives, and those children are going to have, each of those children are going to have 4, 5, 6 children, and more and more people are going to suffer. You can't possibly fucking tell me that because of technology and because of the spreading, the spreading of economies and first world systems, you can't tell me that's going to lead to a better life for people. Look at the happiness rates in first world countries. Look at the happiness rates and the depression rates and suicide rates in Japan and Russia and China and China, you won't find the truth because China hides their statistics very deeply, and that's for many reasons, mainly to do with investors. China is very greedy. The whole thing, the corporations, government, all of it, everything in China, is revolved around money. So you won't find the real statistics on that, unfortunately. And even in Russia, it's dumbed down. They hide some of it. But it's not as bad as China. But in reality, all these people they've had no real difficult life experiences, most of them. And the few that have, that were like, oh, when I was a child, I got bullied in school, I got abused, I was living in poverty, my parents did drugs, I did drugs, blah blah blah. People like that, they sometimes will grow up and then say, well, look at me now, life is better. Yeah, but not for most people. Most people in your position will either commit murder or something else and get locked up, or they'll just get shot or overdose and die. The reality for most people isn't going to be the fucking same for you, whoever you are, that disagrees with me. Most people have decent lives, and so they'll say life is fine, or life is okay, life is good, things will get better. These people are complacent. These people are coping. Most people that experience somewhat decent lives, depending on where they live, that say life is fine, these people are designed. They're designed by nature to tolerate extreme stress. Do you really think there's nothing normal? Okay, and this is where we get into George Orwellian 1984 level psychology. There's nothing normal about working, going to some place every day, early in the morning, until late at night, and going home and sleeping and doing the exact same thing. There's nothing normal about doing the exact same thing that is not of interest to you to any degree. There's nothing normal about that. As a human being, we were designed to go out, hunt, farm, nurture, take care of our children, build huts, explore and travel. There's nothing normal about spending 40 or 50 years of doing the exact same fucking thing for even 3 or 4 days out of the week. But most people will do the exact same thing 4 to 5 days of the week, every week, all month, all year, every decade, nonstop, for like, typically the next 40, 50 years once they grow up. And then have maybe 10 or 15 years of retirement, which, by the way, all that's being taken away. Retirement money is going away. The inflation is increasing, partly due to tariffs currently. And, the cost of living is going up, and the production of lower quality products is increasing. It's the quality is going down, and the mass production of shitty products is going up. So you're spending more for less, and you're dealing with more isolation and all sorts of things. And I've gone over this in other videos. I don't want to go over it in every video. But my point is the quality of life is decreasing, even in first world nations. Partly, whether it's a dictatorship or a socialist, or a capitalist country. Yeah, socialist countries and communist countries usually, have more wealth distributed to people, but you have less freedom in many ways. You can't win it with everything. Any civilization is going to have its issues always. Nothing comes anywhere close to perfect at all, not to any fathomable degree. But nonetheless, the joy of life is kind of lost in all the suffering and the boredom and the stress. And most people, based off of CDC reports, most people experience good lives. But that I feel that they're coping. I feel that they're just giving in to a lie, lying to themselves and others, because they don't want to admit that they spent their entire lives doing some mediocre thing, working for some manager that works for some high level manager that works for some CEO or executive assistant that works for some executive that works for a CEO that spends $50 million a day. You've done nothing with your life. You've done absolutely nothing. Most of us will have never done anything with our lives, and life is truly pointless for most people. And for anybody that says that life is amazing and life is very good and you shouldn't give up, those people, in my opinion, have never had struggle, or just they're coping on a level, if they're not wealthy or powerful or famous or super attractive, whatever. I'd assume that they're probably coping on an extremely high level, and they cope by downing alcohol and snorting lines of coke every night. That's my assumption. And maybe it is a good life for them when they're doing all the drugs, but I do not agree at all with anybody that has ever said that life is good. Yeah, I don't agree with these people, and it's not just from my own experience. I could have, I haven't. I got to be honest. I haven't lived a terrible life. I've lived a pretty decent life. Having a somewhat wealthy family support me. I haven't had a terrible life, but nonetheless, I can agree that life is overall terrible, and the suffering you have to go through to experience a little joy in life is not worth it. And nobody should have children, and everybody should die instantly, no pain, no suffering, just an instant death. If I had the power, if I had any sort of power in this world, I would wish to God, kill all of us instantly, no pain. I don't want to see it coming just at some random point. Kill everybody on Earth instantly, painlessly. I think that would be the best gift to receive from God, from a higher power. I don't think that money or power or fame or materialistic goods of any sort, I don't think any of that is going to do anybody any good in the long run, because if you have it all, then you're bored, and there's no winning. There's no winning with life. You're never going to reach, peak happiness forever. It's always momentary. Once you get what you want, then you just want another thing, and you strive for that. You try to climb for that next high. You try to get that next thing, and once you get there, then it's not enough. You're never satisfied. But most people don't have the luxury. They don't have the luxury of knowing they're going to get food every day, or knowing they're not going to get bombed or attacked with sarin gas, or raped, or mugged. A lot of people, they don't have the joy of going to sleep without anxiety, knowing everything's going to be fine. Most people do not experience that. Most people experience very high stress, and high poverty, starvation, abuse, neglect. Life is not worth it, and anybody that says that, in my opinion, should be executed without mercy. They should be immediately executed. If I was the Antichrist, I would legalize the immediate execution of anyone that tries to incentivize, advertise that people should have children, that life is good. If anybody mentions anything revolved around that, immediate execution, no tolerance for it. Because this ideology that's been spread around, it's like the most repugnant, decrepit, disgusting, filthy disease. This belief that life is good and people shouldn't give up. No, I say give up. I'd say you should probably give up. And most people don't agree with that. Most people would say, "Oh, you can't say that. You'll get canned. You can't say that." But I mean, do you really want to struggle? Another several years or decades of your life. My girlfriend, she spent her whole life. She spent about 15 years, almost 15 years, struggling with different addictions, struggling with poverty and neglect and abuse from her disgusting, worthless fucking family that should have been dealt with long ago. And she put up with it. And you know what she got in the end? She got a fentanyl overdose and died. And she You know, she made it so close to getting through that struggle, but you know, she had this hope, this dream, this desire that everything would be fine eventually if she kept going, that everything would be good in the end. And even if it did end up that way, I mean, was it really worth 15 years of struggle? You know, well, technically your whole life was struggle. So, I mean, was it really worth the 33 years of struggle, you know, or the 30 years, 28 years, whatever it was it really all worth the struggle? Was it really all worth it in the end? Because you even if she died in old age and she had a good life for the rest of her life, was those 25 years of abuse and neglect really worth it? You know, was all the starving, was all the beatings, the bullying, the rape, the molestation, the confusion, anxiety, the drugs, was it really all worth it? To be honest, was it really fucking worth it? I don't think so. You know, and as depressing as it is, I'm glad that my partner Shelby died, because she doesn't have to suffer anymore. I wish I went with her. You know, it's depressing. You know, I should have gone with her to the grave right when she did, but unfortunately that did not happen. And for those that die, that don't see death coming, for those that immediately painlessly die, they've been blessed, in my opinion. They've been blessed. And this is why I'm in full support of the extermination of the human race. This is why I have deep anger, and I would say pretty much hatred, for anybody that views life as wonderful and worth it. If anything, looking at it from a religious perspective, it's a test. It's a test to see how much getting fucked in the ass you can take. You know, that's kind of what life is. It's a struggle test. How much pain can you endure? And you know, I've endured quite a bit, but I'm getting quite fed up with it, and quite fed up with humanity as a whole. And you know, I'm really advocate, really hoping that the Antichrist comes soon, so that he can wipe out, you know, at least half the population, and do so very quickly, very brutally, wipe out half the human race, at least that, and destroy just about everything that we've built. That would be beautiful. You know, I would laugh, you know. I would laugh at that. I would laugh seeing the nuclear bombs fall. I would laugh. You know, I'm the kind of person that will laugh when I'm being buried alive, you know, and I hope that other people get to experience that with me. You know, seeing nuclear bombs fall and everything being destroyed, everything that they worked so hard all their lives to build, seeing it all ripped away from them, seeing the horror and the misery, you know, on their faces. You know, the beauty of that. You know, I would pay good money to see that. It's not because I would say I'm sadistic, but because you know, it's only fair, in my opinion. Perhaps it's a sadistic desire, I guess you could say, or masochistic, I don't know. But I can't think of the term. But yeah, anyway, that's all I have to say in this video. If you agree with me, you know, I don't know, leave me a like, and watch my other videos. I make some great content that's very philosophical and very dark and negative and disturbing. I think for some of you, you might really like my content, because there's nobody on YouTube that's more angry and more vile and demonic, probably. You know, even being a Christian, though, nonetheless, I'm extremely hate-filled. You know, I sometimes wonder if I am the Antichrist. You know, I've always been obsessed with the number 6 since I was very young, which is interesting. Came out of nowhere from my OCD, kind of strange, and I'm kind of psychopathic. And I hear things, you know, things I can't even tell you about. You know, such beautiful and horrific things that would make any normal person, you know, want to get a lobotomy. You know, I do truly believe I'm Antichrist inspired. I'm Antichrist empowered. or demonically empowered, perhaps. I'm not sure, but anyway, if you like really disturbing, disgusting content, I make that all the time. So check out those videos and subscribe. And if you don't, screw you, I guess. So yeah.